You're listening to the Daily Wealth Junkies Show. I'm Brandon Dukeman here with Will Harvey, and thanks for joining us for another daily episode of the Wealth Junkies. But before we get started with this, holy shit, screwing up the intro again. Here we go. Before we get started with the
we can edit it
with the show, yeah, that's cool. With the show, don't forget to subscribe to our daily episodes and then the podcast, and join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/wealth junkies. And I will toss it over to Will to hopefully not screw up his intro.
Thank you, Brandon. It's all good. I appreciate it. So today on the show, we have Joe Auer. Joe, I hope I pronounced your name right. Did I?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, good. So today on the show, we have Joe Auer, and hold on one sec. I have to pull up his thing. I scrolled to the wrong place. So Joe is an entrepreneur and internet marketer. He is a managing partner of Jack Media and the founder of Mattress Clarity. He runs 4 content websites that collectively receive 3 million visitors a month. So he's doing some awesome stuff. Joe, with that, thanks so much for coming on the show. Can you just give the listeners a little bit more about your background and what got you to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on. I went to Wake Forest University, studied to be an accountant. I just found it came natural to me. I really liked the classes. So I decided to become a CPA. I joined one of the big CPA firms, KPMG, out of school for 3 years and realized it was just not what I wanted to do. The reality of doing accounting, the real world was very different from the kind of theoretical classes that we were taking. So I wanted to do something totally different. If you're an accountant, you kind of come in after the fact and look at what someone else did. You're not making like revenue driving strategic decisions. So I wanted to do something totally different, and I wasn't exactly sure what that was going to be. My best friend's older brother was a sort of like charismatic internet entrepreneur type of person. I happened to be visiting my friend, and he was there at the same time. And I was maybe thinking of going to get an MBA and doing something different. But he said, hey, before you do that, I'm starting an internet company. Why don't you help me do that? So what he was doing was basically, if you're familiar with Groupon and Daily Deal types of companies, it was basically a clone of that, but female focused. So he convinced me to kind of join him, even though I didn't really have any skills other than, just general business and accounting skills. And so I helped him start that company. We ran it for about 6 months, had some success initially, but ultimately it failed. It was just a very, very difficult type of business to run that had hundreds of competitors. It just wasn't the right type of business to run. So I was like, okay, I quit this career to try something new, and that failed. So it was just like a terrible mistake. Or like, what should I do now? And so the same guy said, hey, I basically had my own consulting firm before I did this. I did digital marketing consulting for companies. I can easily just go back to doing that. So you can certainly kind of stay on to help me do that. But you need to learn some internet marketing skills if you're going to help out with that. So that meant learning how to build websites, learning how to like run paid ads like Google AdWords, social media, Facebook ads, email marketing, SEO as well. So I decided to stay on, and I just started teaching myself like everything I could possibly learn about all these different types of skills. Like to learn SEO, I kind of just built my own sites and started doing SEO to them on the side and started seeing what worked, etc. And learned a lot. At the same time, I did end up applying to business school and got in. So I decided to go. I went to New York to go to business school. And then when I was there, I met my now business partner, who had kind of a similar story to me, where he was in a finance career, didn't like that, quit to start his own internet company. And then that kind of failed as well in the same type of fashion. And we were like the only people that have a pretty similar experience. Why don't we like consider maybe starting something together? So his name's Kenny. We started working second year, and we didn't know exactly what we were going to do, but we wanted to do some sort of internet marketing based company. And so we started Jack Media, and we've tried, it is what it is now, but we've tried like a large number of different internet kind of ideas. So we paid for everything by just being like consultants to companies. They would just pay us kind of a monthly retainer to do their SEO or run their paid ads online or things of that nature. And then we're going to take that money to help us live or survive in New York, and then also to be able to work on our own stuff. So we tried pretty much everything. We tried selling digital courses online. We tried to, believe it or not, sell caskets direct to consumer. We got like someone to work that out for us.
Wow.
On the operations side. That was an interesting experience as well. Then we tried a bunch of different.
I get a quick question.
Sure.
Do you know the demographic of the people you were selling to for the caskets?
So
I assume it's fairly all old people.
Yeah. So
okay,
we looked more like we were going to sell through like Google Ads and SEO, and so we could see like the trends of the seasonality of it. Like in the winter, it's like flu season, so more people die. It's very like morbid thing to think about.
Yeah,
that's funny.
But that's knowing your product, right?
Yeah, our first one that we sold, I got really excited and realized someone had passed away, and it's kind of a
it's like oh shoot, can I really be excited?
Yeah. It's kind of mixture of emotions. So that was one as well. And then we kind of started getting better and better at SEO. So we tried what we're doing now, just a bunch of different like content ideas where we could make money through like affiliate relationships. So we had a site about like how to stop snoring, for example, and then we could like help sell like little snoring devices. The first real hit for us was something called Mattress Clarity, where there was just a big shift in the mattress industry of people shifting from going to like a mattress firm or whatever to buying online, which meant that people are going to be researching this stuff online more and more. And we could kind of see that trend happening. So we were like, if we're like the content site, we have YouTube videos and kind of inform people like what the best mattress is for them. That could be like a really good kind of trend that we can kind of pick up on. So Mattress Clarity was our first biggest hit, and then we kind of just took that business model and applied it to other industries. So we have two kind of mattress sleep sites now. We have a site called barbend.com, which is for people who do strength sports, things like CrossFit, weightlifting. Really anyone who lifts weights or works out would maybe see our site. And for that, we have like a podcast and very active YouTube channel. And we're just trying to get as much traffic as possible and then make money somehow. Then we have another site called Security Baron, which is reviewing all kinds of security products or tech products. Very big YouTube presence there as well. I think people just really want to, if they're going to like buy a security camera, they really want to see how it works through like a YouTube video.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of our company now. It's definitely iterated and changed a lot. I've tried a lot of different ideas, but that's kind of where we stand today.
Wow.
So when you guys come up with the ideas for these companies, are you doing it based off of personal interest or based off of what you know is going to work and what people are searching for?
Yeah. So people say like, why are you in mattresses? And the answer is like, we tried like a lot of other stuff. And this is one that happened to kind of play out. Like another one we tried was reviewing luggage. We saw that there's a bunch of companies that were raising money. One's called like Auer, for example. So we're like, this could be like the next mattress industry where everyone's just buying luggage online and there's no like review site that does anything. Like it'd be like the first one in there. And it just didn't quite work out the way we thought it was going to. So I can't say I had a true like passion for mattresses, for example, or home security. It's just more based on trends that we see and where we think we can really add value to an industry and like potentially get a lot of traffic and then make money from there.
So for all the ones that are successful, these 4 that you're currently doing that you have the podcast for and all of that, the mattress, the security, the weightlifting. So there's a lot of ones that didn't work, probably more that didn't work than did work, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. So what do you attribute the ones that you're having success in and that you are now monetizing and doing well with? What's the difference between those and the ones that failed?
There's a few things. Yeah. So like the luggage one, it didn't really fail. Like we started getting a lot of traffic, but then it's like, how much money can you make from that? You never really know until you like kind of go into it. Like we had another one where we reviewed a bunch of like how to learn how to code kind of like courses and stuff like that.
Okay.
We thought that was a big trend where there's just all these companies coming out teaching you how to code online. So we started getting traffic, but like we just realized we couldn't really make that much money from it given like the traffic that we had.
Got it.
And so you kind of have to like just take a little bit of a leap of faith. I mean, some just failed. We're just like, we just didn't do things properly or didn't have the right team in place for that like site specifically. But sometimes everything may line up and then you just realize it's probably not worth the time. So like the casket one, we started selling one or two caskets a day, and it just seemed like it was going to be kind of maxed out at that amount. So like our potential to make this great big company was very limited.
So scalability was tough.
Yeah. And then again, that's like something you can't quite predict. You can kind of see Google, like, search data and stuff like that, but you never quite know what the opportunity is unless you like kind of jump into it.
Great point.
So earlier you were talking about how you taught yourself how to create websites, do all the SEO. How are you teaching yourself all this?
So SEO, there's no like real, Google doesn't say, here's everything you need to do.
Right.
You just have to do it. And so the first couple of years I was really bad at it because I just didn't know any better. I'd look at internet forums. There's a bunch of gurus that'll say, hey, I have all the answers. It turns out that like,
of course they do.
Not the case at all.
Well, it's ever changing, right? Doesn't Google change their thing all the time, their algorithm?
All the time. So I don't even feel like I'm like on top of my game because like something will happen next week and then I'll be like totally off my radar, and then we'll have to adjust. That definitely happens. Like every 6 months, some big change will happen, and you gotta kind of figure it out. And so it's not easy at all. You have to like be really good at networking and just have a bunch of other people that are doing it and like talk to them and see what's happening. And but I mean, just learning by doing is the only real way to do it. You can't just like take an SEO course from university and expect to be good at it.
So you just got to kind of start jumping in and check out some YouTube channels, stuff like that, and start learning about it.
Yeah, go on. There's a million internet forums as well.
Yeah,
I mean, you can take these courses from gurus or just take it with a grain of salt. Because like if you start doing what someone says, like it may be something that Google actually doesn't want you to do. It's just working at the time. So you may like get a lot of traffic and then one day it goes way down because it actually wasn't something that you were supposed to be doing. So that's something that happened to me in like the first year that I was getting started. And I almost quit doing SEO because it's just like, one day you could have a lot of traffic, then the next day it just like disappears because you're doing something that you weren't supposed to be doing.
Wow.
So is this something you're monitoring every day that, I mean, to the point where
you're constantly tweaking things and adjusting?
Yeah.
We have a bunch of people we talk to like on a weekly or monthly basis. We're looking at stuff. We're always reading like literally everything we possibly can and then trying to put our own like thesis together as far as like what we should be doing going forward. And we're never like, oh, we're satisfied. We figured it out. We don't need to change anything going forward. It's always changing.
Right. I'm sure, especially being on the internet. I mean, technology changes every day. Like you said. So that's
it absolutely does. So when you mentioned something when you were telling your story about how you started Jack Media and the 4 sites that are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
You said that your whole goal was let's just get a ton of eyes on us basically, and then we'll figure out how to make money from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting to me because a lot of people think that you have to have a plan from day one. Can you just explain how you were able to learn as you went along and figure out what makes sense and how to monetize that and how you did it?
Yeah. So, I mean, the type of site that we do, if we are making money through affiliate relationships, it's usually like a commission on whatever is being purchased. So I think we realized pretty quickly you can put in the same amount of time and effort for something where you're reviewing like a $5 product versus like a $2,000 product. So if you're in this smaller space where you're like the number one site on the internet, but it's only like a $5 product, you're going to be very limited in how much money you can make because you're only getting 5% of $5. So it's kind of a balance of getting a lot of traffic, but then like knowing that you can then make money from that traffic. And so you have to have companies that have affiliate programs as well. And you never really quite know how that's going to work. Like the luggage thing, there just weren't any companies that really had this on their radar. So that was something we couldn't really have predicted. So you want to you want to be sure before you jump in that if you get all this traffic and spend like a year trying to build a site, that it's actually going to like pay off for you. So
That's going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, because it's just so much time and effort and money to get to that point. And then if there's no one that you can make money from, it's like, well, why did I just spend a year doing this?
Right.
So tell us how you get 3 million visitors a month. I mean, what do you have to do on your sites and advertising and all that?
It's I mean, it's a ton of effort. I think if you look at our sites and look at like our YouTube videos, you'll see that we kind of like over invest in the quality. So, I mean, Google just says write really great content. That's really the only advice that they say. So if like in our security space, I think anyone looking at our YouTube videos will say this is like by far the best video. So we kind of say like, is this literally the best like review on the internet? If not, like what can we do to change it until we get to that point? So it's kind of over investing in the quality of what we do. So that's part of it. And then you need to get other really good websites to link to you as well. So that's where people spend most of their time, just getting really, really good backlinks. And so we've tried like and refined a process over the years in order to get as many high quality backlinks as possible. And that's just like a lot of money and a lot of effort in order to be able to do that. But I think going forward, if we have the best content, the best videos, like the best written content, we'll be in a better spot than anyone else.
Yeah, that's so true. So many people look at hacking the system and doing this, that, and the other. But the bottom line is if you're putting out something that's valuable and that people are going to want to look at, it's going to find its way to the top. Now, we do the same. We do SEO stuff for our podcast. And, we worked with a consultant and all that. So I think that there's incredible value in doing all those things and those tweaks. But a good product is ultimately what brings you to the top and continues you to sustain that success. So, So going back, it sounds like you never really had, unless the accounting job, you never really had that 9 to 5 type of job where you were driving into work every day and hated it. Is that right? It sounds like you.
Well, yeah. I mean, the 3 years of accounting, it was just like kind of a gradual me wanting to leave.
Oh, okay.
So,
gotcha.
I was working on a financial services client. I started September 2007, which is like the beginning of the financial crisis. So I think maybe just the timing was bad there, where we ended up working like 30 to 50% more than they did historically and like made less money. So that was obviously not good. I probably would have quit anyways, but it was just kind of
Yeah, no, I got that. Makes perfect sense. What did you do to prepare for jumping out and just going out with that guy and starting that first website that you said didn't do as well as you would have hoped?
I saved I tried to save as much money as possible. Like that was just kind of always been my mindset anyways. So like it allowed me to be able to not make very much money at all for a year and a half. So that was definitely pretty tough in order to see my bank account just go steadily down when I'm used to being really tight with my money and saving it. So that was probably the biggest thing I would say.
Yeah. So you weren't out buying dumb shit like cars and stuff like that. You were just socking it away and preparing for something like this.
Yeah. And so
that's a great lesson.
I don't know, mentally, I just like, I'm still young and I'm just going to go for it. So I don't think I prepared other than the money part and just being able to have some savings.
Right.
Mentally, I was like, I'm young. I'm not going to do this when I'm 45.
Right. Well, and that's the nice thing kind of about doing things young. You can still, even if it still goes bad for you, there's still a lot of time to kind of bounce back and get yourself back on track.
Yeah. And like having a bad experience isn't like people see that as a good thing. Hey, you tried something and it failed, but like you put yourself out there and you probably learned a lot in the process. So even like people with failed startups like end up maybe even being better off than if they hadn't done it.
Yeah, I agree. Do you feel that way about yourself?
I do. I'm glad that it worked out, obviously, but I think, so obviously I'm in my position, but I do believe that. I've seen a number of friends where it didn't quite work out, but they got like a better job and like out of it. So it's not such a bad thing to have things not work out.
Right.
Yeah.
So
point.
talk to us a little bit about how you met your business partner. You said you were up in New York, I believe, and you
Yeah.
came across your business partner. What was
Yeah.
that interaction like?
So that's kind of a made for a movie kind of a story. So we were in business school together, but we didn't know each other. And then after my first year, I was actually flying down to Austin, but connecting through Dallas. And he was on my flight and sat next to me by chance. He was going to New Orleans. So I kind of recognized him, and he had a book bag that was like same as mine. So we just kind of got to chatting. So if I wasn't on that flight with him, then like we probably would not have met if I would have guessed.
Dude, that's like the beginning of Fight Club. You know, when when Brad Pitt and Edward Norton meet on the plane and they have the same suitcase. That's so funny.
Yeah, it was one of those like, hey, you don't know where I stand in the whole fate issue, but if fate is real, then maybe this is like fate telling me I should like go into business with this person.
And how did you identify each other's different roles and the value that you would provide to each other?
So yeah, he had a little bit more of a kind of a technical background. So he was more like the website building and maintenance person, and then I had more of like a traffic getting, I guess, experience. So it kind of actually worked pretty well. We can kind of do a lot of things interchangeably, but for whatever reason, it just worked out really well. There's never been a time where that like kind of role division has been really too much of an issue, I would say.
Gotcha.
So cool. with this business being essentially mostly online, do you and your business partner live in close proximity to each other, or is he, packing in New Orleans and you're in Texas?
So we started in New York. I was there for 3.5 years working on this. So I was in New York for 5 years, but working on this for 3.5 years. And I was just kind of tired of New York for a number of reasons: cost of living, taxes, and just being woken up by drunk people on the street or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, as soon as it's possible, let's figure out how I can move away and still like have this run pretty smoothly. So he's in New York still. Most of the team's out there. And then we have a small office here as well in Austin, Texas. But it works. So we talk every day, and it's been running pretty smoothly.
That's great.
Awesome. So go ahead, Will.
No, I was going to say, what is your what are some of your plans moving forward with the company and just the vision?
So I think we've kind of mastered a certain business model, and if there's like a new industry where we feel like maybe there's not a great like content site out there at all, or there's some big opportunity, we would potentially just kind of keep growing these types of sites. There's a company called Red Ventures that is much bigger than we are. They kind of are potentially what we could see ourselves being in the future, where they just have like 20 to 30 of these sites and just have a really kind of efficient team around each one. So that's a possibility, but probably nothing in the next 6 months or so. We're just kind of keep going and just making sure we have everything like totally down and an efficient system down, so we can then apply it to other stuff going forward.
Okay. And so you have a team for each one of these sites. Am I understanding that? Okay. And you basically bring on the right pieces of the puzzle, the right people to manage that. I mean, how active are you day to day?
I'm pretty active.
Okay.
So I could just, if I wanted to take off a day, like everything should be fine.
Okay.
But I mean, we have like writers need to know what to write about. We got to make sure they're doing everything right. All the people who do videos, they have to do everything right. The people that help us with marketing, I'm very involved in managing them. And then the tech side of things, we got to make sure all those people are doing well. So it's a lot of like just managing, I would say.
Okay.
So per website, how many people are on a website's team?
So we have about 30 people in total. There's probably like 6 or 7 people who work on all the sites together. They're not like kind of just on one, and the rest are just on one site. So 5-6 people on a site, something like that.
Wow.
Okay. Cool.
Most people probably don't think that, it's the whole back end of a website. They're
Mhm.
just there to look and browse and possibly purchase something. So
Yeah, there's a lot
um,
of behind the scenes work that goes
right.
on. Brandon and I
So
realized that the
go
hard
ahead.
way after
Oh yeah,
deciding to do a daily podcast.
yeah. A lot of work, but
Yep.
it's paying off.
All
So
good. Yep.
So Joe, what would you say to somebody that is listening to this right now and they're like, "Damn, that sounds like I've got this perfect idea," or I've been doing this research. What would you say to somebody that is thinking about now getting into this business?
This type of business?
Yeah.
So there's a couple things. I think if you want to start a content website, just the way Google works, it takes about a year before you really see traction.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you got to really earn that trust from Google and write really good stuff over a period of time before they're just going to like give you a bunch of traffic all of a sudden. So there's a lot of spammers out there, and they have all these kind of safeguards against like sites that shouldn't deserve to get traffic, like that they actually don't. So that's just kind of something to note. So if I were going to maybe start a new site, I would maybe start with just a YouTube channel, because you can actually get real good traction like pretty much immediately with YouTube. So compare that to waiting a year with a website. Also, like the skills you need in order to be successful with YouTube are like way, way, way smaller than to run a website.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also a good way to see if there's going to be a lot of traction. So there's like if you're going to review like a certain type of product, you can just start doing it on YouTube. And if you start getting a bunch of views, you might know that this is potentially like going to be a thing going forward. And then you should add the website component to it.
Okay, that's great advice.
Yeah. So because the last thing I would want people to do is get started and run for a year and then realize, oh, actually not going to really gain that much traction. I just wasted, a lot of time and money figuring that out.
Yep, that would not be fun.
And I'm assuming this is once you master this or become much better at it, this is something you can make a living off of.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's with SEO and Google traffic, you can write an article and it can make you tons of money without you ever having to touch the article again. So it's a great business model. Same with YouTube videos. You can get all these views like continuing to flow in, then you go make more videos, and then you just keep building and accumulating traffic and views. So it's a very, very scalable, efficient.
It's kind of like real estate. It's kind of like real estate, where each website is like a property, and over time, more and more, it can create income for you passively, and you might have to maintain it a little bit, like a property. That's great. That's pretty cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. And can you name off the 4 websites again for me?
So Barbend, BARBEND.com, securitybaron.com. Names aren't like that amazing after that, but mattressclarity.com, and then sleepopolis.com.
So
nice.
Are you purchasing these domain names and then working around the domain name, or are you finding how are these domain names getting bought?
So in the mattress space, we just want we're just like, what has no one thought of yet? So we can just buy it for $10 rather than like having to pay like $10,000.
Right. Yeah, the little premium domain.
So I wasn't like, oh, it has to be Mattress Clarity because that's the greatest name of all time. It was like, it's pretty good and it's available, so let's go.
And it's $10. Yeah,
and that's crazy that you can start with something for a domain name for $10 and that could change your whole life.
Yep,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think Barbend is.
That's a really good one.
It's like you're so strong you can bend the bar.
Like that kind of thing. And I've definitely seen YouTube videos and been on the website before.
Yeah.
Before.
And it was available. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Wow, that is.
It's
cool.
crazy that some of these things, like Barbend, listening to it, the sound of it, you would think that it would have been snatched up real quick. But how long have you had that domain?
It's been going for 3 years now.
Wow.
Okay. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to come out and come up with a crazy domain name. Like I've always thought about this, like Yelp and Uber and things like that. They're not crazy names. They're just they've created that brand for themselves. So you don't need
weird
to have
names.
right, and you don't need to have a brand name already named to create this stuff.
Yeah, probably our worst one was, or like where we're just kind of grasping at straws, was security barren. Like everyone that we came up with, it was all taken. And so it was like our 33rd like idea.
What is
Like,
the bear? What is it supposed to mean?
that's a great question. You know, a baron's like a, you know, English nobleman or
Right.
whatever,
Mhm.
and all that. And then I don't know how security kind of fits in there, but we pretend that
That
it
sounds
does.
good. No, I like it. I like it.
That's awesome.
Good stuff.
Well, Joe, I think we're going to transition into our Moments of Truth segment here. It's the same 7 questions that we ask all of our guests, and I'm excited to get started with the first one. Who is your success role model?
I would say I really respect Elon Musk's, like how he just goes all in. So, I mean, I wouldn't say everything he does is I just look to him and I want to emulate that, but he's just all into what he does and just will not tolerate anything other than just creating the best version
Right.
of whatever he's doing. So
So
that's
true.
pretty inspirational. I kind of look to him to be like, I should be as all in as this guy is.
Yeah. That's
So have you pre-ordered the Cybertruck?
I have not.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it.
That thing is wild.
Yeah.
What is your biggest success?
I would say just like the first 2 years of running our company, we were just kind of figuring things out. It was a pretty rocky road, and just being able to like get through that in order to like, there were probably a few different moments where we were like definitely thinking of quitting and just like keep going, and then to then make it successful. It's not just like the success itself, but like to put up with not being very successful for like a pretty significant period of time. Really adds like to how I feel, you know, about things.
Yeah, and luckily you had the savings. You had prepared in the past to be able to do that. So that's really cool, and that's a valuable lesson, because if you didn't have as much saved up, you might have thrown in the towel earlier.
Yep,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Out
that's
of necessity.
I was kind of going to ask, what prevented you from not quitting? Like,
I don't know. Once you kind of get that entrepreneurial itch, like going back to a real job just does not sound good at all. Doesn't even
Right.
sound like a possibility. So I was like, I just really don't want to do that. So it was like, I want to keep going and make this successful. But then a little bit of it was like, I don't want what the alternative could be. So I don't
Yeah.
want to.
We're motivated by pain and pleasure, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pain or pleasure.
Joe, what's a typical day for you look like?
It's always changing. So on Wednesdays, for example, I'm actually the face of this mattress clarity site. And so I'm actually on YouTube videos and usually film those on Wednesdays. Mondays are like just having meetings with like pretty much every possible team. So like our marketing team and all the different teams, the different website heads and stuff like that. So lots of meetings on Mondays. And then do a lot of like networking and research as far as like staying on top of our game with the internet marketing side of things, and you know everything kind of in between. So it's kind of shifted to just being a lot of managing at this point. When we got started, I did all of like the writing and the video stuff, tech stuff, like all of that we did ourselves. So we worked like extremely long hours for the first 2 years, and then we just slowly were able to hire employees, and now we're just kind of managing them at this point.
Nice.
I think that's great that you said that. You know, the first 2 years was a lot of hard work and a lot of time and effort, and
You
then
expect
now,
that.
yeah, now you're slowly starting to phase some things out and start managing and really creating the company, which is great.
Yep.
What is your favorite quote?
So this isn't attributed to anyone. It's not even like that great of a quote, but I just tell people this all the time, and I've heard enough like entrepreneurs say some version of this, and it's really just keep going. That's what I tell people. So like I feel like people will quit right before they're about to be successful. You only have to be right one time if you're in the startup world. So you can change what you're doing if things aren't going well. You can try a new idea. You just have to like keep going. And a lot of people quit before they're about to be successful. So the people that are like kind of just getting started and they're asking my advice, I'm just like, just keep going.
Yep. You're living proof that you need to do that.
It's really good. Literally, we just talked about it. Just don't quit. Keep it going, and it'll hopefully turn out for you. What are some of your hobbies?
So I actually play classical piano about an hour a day or so.
Awesome.
So that's one. Then I love working out. Play flag football as well. So
Nice.
kind of like bro hobbies and then like kind of nerdy hobbies, I would say.
The piano one. That's not a common one that we hear on here.
No, best of
Yeah.
both worlds.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah.
That's very cool. What's the best business book that you read?
So I would just encourage people to look into this, more like kind of a motivational thing, like the books of Grant Cardone. He has like one called like the 10X rule.
Yeah,
There's really just one main thesis, and I was like, yeah, you absolutely need to work like 10 times harder than you think if you want like anything out of life.
bingo.
So if someone's like in sales and they're like, oh, I just, they told me I only need to reach out to 20 people, like they're probably not going to be successful. They need to reach out to 10 times that amount.
Right.
So I read his books and I'm like, get really, really inspired and motivated to kind of take on the world. So I can't say that the specific business advice is the best. That's not really the point. It's more just kind of like, if you're the hardest working person in the industry of whatever you're doing, you're probably going to be successful.
Right. And that's a lot of what Grant Cardone talks about, is just do more than the other person. So he's a great dude. Last question here, Joe. If there's one key piece of advice you could leave our listeners with about achieving success, what do you think it would be?
So it kind of ties in with that quote of just keep going. And like, I think I had no idea what I was capable of, like as an accountant. Like if I could talk to myself back then, they like probably wouldn't even believe that I'd be in this position now. And it's not like I'm some genius or anything. It's just, I was willing to like push myself and to try. So like, I don't think people are really, they don't understand what they're capable of unless they kind of force themselves to try. So if someone is like thinking of starting a business or doing something on the side, I would just absolutely encourage them to do it. Unless they have some sort of particular circumstance where they definitely shouldn't. And so someone might be like, oh, I'm just this person in this job. Like I couldn't possibly do this, but you don't know unless you try. So you don't want to like be sitting on your deathbed and look back and say, I didn't kind of take any risks or try anything.
Right.
So people are capable of a lot more than what they think they are, basically.
That's
Great advice.
Joe, how can our listeners get in contact with you?
So I would just say we're very active on social media, all within our sites. So just check out our sites, check out our YouTube videos.
Yep. We'll link them in the show notes as well.
Yeah. And then, let me know if you have any questions about mattresses,
Awesome.
products.
If you're in the market for a new mattress or really
home
sleepy
security.
like I am,
Yep.
or if you're a weightlifter,
Yeah.
or
Amen.
looking to get into weightlifting or CrossFit, anything with a barbell, Joe is your man.
Yep.
Well, Joe, we appreciate you being on the show today. I know I learned a lot, and definitely going to try to apply some techniques that you gave us. So we appreciate you being on. And for our listeners, go subscribe to Joe's websites. Go check them out. His social media as well. And don't forget, subscribe to our show so that way you're not missing any of our daily episodes. And join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/wealthjunkies. Again, Joe, we appreciate you being on today.
Yeah. Thank you.